My name is Ryan Roth. I'm going to be talking about music and music implementation stuff. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about theory. Sorry in advance. Music theory. And also I just want to mention the reason I'm wearing sunglasses is because I'm colorblind, and it kind of helps me see colors better. And yeah, anyway. So a little bit about me. I'm from this area of Canada called New Brunswick. If you've ever seen the show called Trailer Park Boys, it happens around that area. I live in Toronto now, so it's fine. A couple other things I like to do. I make beer. I made an IPA recently. It's pretty good. I like to think so. I also make beef jerky. And I also make video games. I don't just do sound for games. Like, I also make my own stuff. So here's a few of the games I worked on. I just made like a little, I don't know if you've heard of any of these. Riverbond is coming out soon. Guacamelee 2, I'll be talking about that a little bit later. ESJ, that's not done yet. So yeah, a couple games. I don't know if you really want to look at that. Anyway, I also have an itch page. You guys use itch. I'm sure everybody uses itch. So basically, I made this game. I worked on this game called The Beginner's Guide. Has anybody played The Beginner's Guide? Yeah. A lot of people played The Beginner's Guide. And Stanley, probably. Davey and I, before we started working on The Beginner's Guide together, we went to Japan, and we sort of, we just go to a bar and we would have a couple drinks, and I bring my laptop, and we would just make a weird narrative game. The first one was called Stairs. Basically, we climbed a lot of stairs in Japan. We were in Kyoto, and it was. We were climbing a lot of stairs. There was a sign that said Stairs. Basically, we thought that was kind of funny. So we talked about the nebulous state of stairs. How stairs, they're kind of a vessel to move from one floor to another. And this is really not interesting at all. Maybe don't go here. It's it's not these games aren't anything great. Maybe if you like The Beginner's Guide, I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, let's get right into it. We'll talk about some stuff that you do as a. So as a composer, as a sound designer, if people come to me and they're like, hey, I want you to do some sound for my game, the first thing that usually happens is game designers have mechanics that they want to teach the player. They have, especially puzzle games. I work on a lot of puzzle games. They want to teach the player mechanics, and so if the player is performing the mechanics, then they can learn it. And so that's what I'm going to talk about, like performance through music. So anyway, sometimes wait, why is this not working? Uh-oh, I think my internet connection's broken. Sorry, everyone. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So when people are learning mechanics, sometimes they get stuck, and yeah, they need some sort of like, hey, I want to be doing something. I want to be playing music. I want to be playing, some sort of. They want to feel like they're doing something. This will make sense in a second when I get into some of the games, like Starseed Pilgrim and stuff. So yeah, we got to talk a little bit about music theory, like I said, before we get into that. Sorry. So this looks like a keyboard. We've all seen a keyboard before. So what's the best way to explain this? I told myself I was going to just like explain this on the fly, but I guess it's kind of complicated. So if you, how many of you know like music theory at all? Like, okay, lots of people know what this is then. So if you have a C major scale, essentially, you know, you've got no accidentals, you've got no, you know, sharps or flats. It's just, you know, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And the thing I like to do in a lot of my games is I call them the magic intervals. So major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and an octave. So what that means is like in a C major scale, I'll use C, E, G, and the octave C. And so what happens if you use those notes in any order and you've got music playing in the background in that key, you can just, it doesn't matter what the player, you know, does if they're playing any of those notes, it's going to sound good. It's going to play a perfect fourth, perfect fifth. Everybody knows what those are, maybe? Anyway. So yeah, let's just like look at Starseed Pilgrim. I'm actually just going to actually play the game. Has anyone played it, Starseed Pilgrim? No? So basically all you do is you hit, all you know what to do is you hit space and you can plant a seed. So, as you could hear, each time I planted something, each block had a different instrument associated with it. And they played those magic intervals, those like, C, it was all in C major as well. So C, E, G, and an octave C. So the music was in C in the background. Exactly, like I said, each block had a different instrument, and so you can plant whatever you want. You don't. The player doesn't need to even think about it. They're just like making music, and they don't have to like. They're just like, what is this? What are these mechanics? Like, what is this? Like, I don't know what it is, and they don't need to think about, you know. All they know is they plant something, and like they get this really cool visceral feedback. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. You play any of those notes in any of those. Yeah, and so yeah, I also pull it up in Pro Tools too. So I just like, here's the music, here's like just a bunch of the different block samples, and I just, you know, like I just randomly put them. Anyway, does that make sense? Maybe. So another thing that I ask designers when they're approaching me with a game is what sort of game states they have. So if you have a game that you've got low health, or you've got, it could be anything. It could be, the next game I'm going to show you is called Sokobond, and it's like when you're bonding different elements, I'll show you in a second. So what I like to do is I like to do different stems based on those states. So basically I'll stay in whatever key it's gonna, the music is gonna be in, and then I just we'll have like a drone or whatever, and you just keep layering stuff from each of those game states. It always works out. So yeah, let's take a look at Sokobond. This will make more sense when I show it. Turn that up. Why is that black? There we go. So I just unlocked all the levels. I'm really bad at Sokobond also. So essentially I've got a drone in the background. It's in, I think it's A major, doesn't matter. And so when you connect one of these bonds together, each level it assigns one of those magic intervals. And whenever you connect a bond, it just plays them in whatever order you bonded them in. And then you can hear another layer come in. So I really suck at Sokobond. I'll try to do an easy level. And then once you win, then it plays them all together. That was the easiest level. I'm not going to do these hard levels, but it's not going to happen. But you can see how, when you bond a bunch of them together, it just makes this, beautiful stuff. Yeah, no. I'm not, I don't even remember how that mechanic works. But I would stick with it because I'm making cool music. So yeah, in A major, same concept, root third, fifth. So that would be, what is it? A, C sharp, E, A, I guess. And so yeah, each time you start a level, different notes are assigned, and then you can't go wrong. It always plays perfect fifths, perfect fourths. It's great. So I pulled up in Pro Tools here with the different stems. I'll just mute them. So there's the different game states. So yeah, the next game I want to show you is Beginner's Guide. You guys have played that? There's spoilers, sorry. Hopefully. It's at the top. Hopefully this works. I don't think it plays well with multiple monitors, so this could be a problem. Yeah, not great. Maybe I can pull up a video. Oops. Yeah, this is it. You're gonna have to listen to Davey talk. Sorry. Just try to listen to the notes.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
I didn't write them.
But it's ironic, isn't it, that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
You guys are listening to the notes, right? Anyway, you get the idea. So the music is in A minor. And so the big thing with the beginners, like this particular section, was that the notes don't overlap. They just play, like you play one at a time. And so I thought that was really boring just to play one note at a time. So I actually made like all those magic intervals, like the perfect fourth, perfect fifth, all those things. I just played them in succession, like very quickly, and then I made like 12 of those samples, and then I just randomly assign them to each of the notes, and then it kind of feels fun to go around. I mean, it's kind of funny to read them anyway, but like it gives you a little bit of an extra, like, you know, hey, you know, you picked it, you hit it, you know, it sounds good. So yeah, the reason I didn't just put one note there is because they don't play at the same time, so you don't get that like nice, you know, harmony, like two notes playing at the same time. So yeah, it always plays a random one, and yeah, you can't go wrong. So I also popped that into Pro Tools somewhere. So as you can see, I'm just like, you know, throwing them all around. Always sounds good. Can't go wrong. Yeah, last game we're gonna look at here is Guacamelee. Have you played Guacamelee 2? I guess you can't really see it. There's the lights in the way. So basically, there's this area in Guacamelee 2. I guess it's sort of spoilers. I don't know. You get this block, and then it takes you all the way to this. And then this thing lights up. And so when I first saw this, I was like, well, you know, root, third, fifth, you know, you have to activate them, so, you know, that might be cool. See, they originally had it, you could do it in whatever order you wanted, but then they changed the gameplay, so you had to do the right one first, and then you have to go down. And I don't actually remember, but so yeah, my original idea was each time you activate one of those, you've got the music in the background. It's in B. What did I say? B minor, and yeah. So I just played those. When they light up. Yeah, it's cool. It always works. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, and that's also what I was saying. You can't go wrong. So yeah, that thing that I was showing you before, player performance mechanics and player learns mechanics, if you just add that extra, like, hey, make them feel, make players feel good while they're doing it, it's going to help them along. So I want to talk about something else. Have you guys heard of a game called Wandersong? Yeah. So you can go way too far with this concept, and I actually want to talk about some of the. I didn't work on this game, but I think what they're doing is really interesting, and I want to talk about how it works. So for those of you who don't know what Wandersong is, this is the trailer for the game. Yeah, that's Wandersong. So yeah, you're a bard and you sing at stuff, and that's the game. So obviously there's some theory involved in the way that it works, and I think I don't know, I think they maybe took it too far with some of that, but it's interesting. So they use this thing called the circle of fifths. So in the first act, everything is in either C major or A minor, and then the second act, it's either in G major or E minor, and I don't know, I didn't play to the third act yet, but it's probably these. And so what ends up happening is if you have a piece of music that's in C or in A minor, it's got the same, you can use all the same notes, and it's going to sound right. And it's the same with G major and E minor. These are called relative major and minor keys. So I'm going to just show you a really cool, I took some music from the game, and I made a little ditty with this little omnisphere choir thing. And so this is in C major. This is from the first part of the game. And I just did this like... all I did was use notes in C major, no accidentals, and hey, that's what the player would be doing with the little circle rotation. It's always going to work. So now, this is another piece it's literally the relative minor. It's got the same notes. I didn't change any of these notes. I literally just copied that over. And so yeah, let's just listen to this. This is in A minor. It's cool. So then in the second act, we move over to this the relative major, which is G major and E minor. So we got to move up by a perfect fifth. So we'll just take this up. Right? And then. Pieces that are in E minor. Did not change anything. So yeah, pretty cool. So a couple of takeaways from this, I guess. So help the player learn your mechanics, help them feel good while they're doing it. Figure out the key. It's super important, obviously. You know, especially if you're using those, you know, perfect fifths, perfect octaves and stuff like that, root, third, fifth. You can just play them randomly. It's going to sound good. You can't go wrong. Game states, add your stems like Sokobond. It's like, you know, new state, add a new thing, you know, put a low pass filter on it, do anything, you know, it's gonna help the player learn your mechanics, or at least have more enjoyable time doing it. You can't go wrong, I keep saying that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Thanks. I think I got lots of time for questions. Yeah, what's up?
So when you change the notes there, could we have like a, I don't know, side-by-side comparison of when you have the wrong notes in with the music?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. That sounds fun. So let's, yeah, okay, actually, let's take this, because this is what I moved up to G, right? So let's take that and put that here. Oh, it's going to be terrible. Wait for it. Wait, that didn't sound half bad. What happened here? Yeah, let's do B flat. That'll be nice. And this is side by side. this sound like? Here. You guys don't want to hear that anymore.
In places where you wanted to build tension, for example, what's your experience using accidentals or different intervals?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk about tritones or anything, but like, yeah, I mean, tritones are where it's at. Like, if you wanna make something feel like, you know, or if you have like a cadence, like you hit 5 of something. Sorry, if you don't know music theory, it doesn't make sense. But so if you hit, if you're in C major and you hit a bunch of Gs, your brain wants to go back to C, and yeah, so I mean that's the best way to create tension, like either using tritones or, in my experience, using tritones or just want the player, like, please get me back to C, like get me back to the root by hitting the fifths. You can do that with like stingers, and like, let's say like at the end of a piece of music, you know, you're in combat or something, and then at the very end you kill the last enemy, and then maybe it'll hit like 5 5 5 5 5, and then 1, and then the drums come in, and yeah.
I noticed you're using a lot of reverb for atmosphere. Is it better to bake those into the sample or let the engine do reverb?
Oh, like just because I have some like this on it, is that what you mean?
Well, even in the games, like it's very reverb heavy. I don't know.
That's just my style, I guess. I don't know. I like using a lot of verb, but it depends on like if you're doing a game that is very abstract, or if you're doing it something that's like more, hey, you're in a space station or something, like you're gonna need to. Sorry, your question was about.
Do you mix the reverb into the sample?
Yeah.
Or do you let the engine do the reverb?
It really depends on the game. Like if I'm doing something like a Sokobond or, you know, a puzzle game or something, I'll probably bake it right in. But if I'm doing something where there's going to be multiple areas, like multiple environments, you're going to have to process it differently. So yeah, you just make it dry, just clean it right up, and then you let the game process it. Yeah. Especially, yeah. Yeah. If it's an abstract game, like I just bake it in, because whatever. Yeah. You're good? What? Oh.
Those are only two techniques that you use to sort of harmonize sound. I don't know a lot of music theory myself, but are there a lot of other techniques out there that you can use to make nice sounding music?
Mm-hmm. So sorry, what was the question?
You showed us like 2 different techniques
Yeah.
that you can use in music to make harmonious sounds. Are there a lot of other existing techniques out there other than these 2 that you could use?
I mean, there's all kinds of things. Like if you want to remove music from the equation, I guess, like you can make stuff sound pleasant. That's, you know, not musical. Sorry, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. I'm quite sure if I know.
I think it's something we need like music theory to that. That's just a question.
I mean, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but like in like classical, like Western music theory, like this is how things, like that's how I learned it in school or whatever. But obviously to, you know, different cultures or different, you know, things are going to sound different. And I don't know how to do that, but it's very possible that, hey, you know, a tritone might sound awesome to certain people. And I don't know the answer to that, but you could do it maybe. Yeah, hey.
Yeah, is there any reason why in the
was not really a reason for that. I just, there's a random function in source, and I was like, yep, that's what I'm going to do, instead of having like a string, you know, that plays through it. It was more just to like, I didn't want it to be like you're playing a game where it's like they do that in Mario, the Mario game where you get the notes and you follow the notes and it plays this nice little like do 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 do. I was like, I don't want it to be like this is a serious game, you know. I didn't want it to be like Mario. I guess that's my initial. That was my thoughts on that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you.